store and was just like, oh, I like you, you're really cute.
Oh.
Yeah. And she liked that because she said everyone just talks on Tinder and stuff. It's like it's nice and refreshing for someone to just approach you in the street outside of a bookshop.
Yeah. Just say hi, just start a normal conversation and don't obviously like make your intentions known, but don't be too direct. So
Right.
find a balance. Yeah.
I made a joke about it. I was like, you go to Princeton? And she's like no, and I'm like, oh, you're not smart enough for me. And then I was like, I'm just kidding. I was like, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. So if you wanted to date someone, I guess, how would you meet a boy if you wanted to have a boyfriend or?
I don't know.
I'm so shy. You never had a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Never had a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Wow. May I ask how old you are?
23.
23. Wow. Are you shy or just never had the
No,
opportunity?
I think I have not met a guy
that you like, yeah? Okay. But you have friends that are guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, cool.
I'm a lone worker.
Yeah, you're very a very good girl. That's cool. Honestly, it used to be different. Like Tinder. Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? I used Tinder in Bangkok and Jakarta a few years. It was when I was single and was traveling, and I used it in Bangkok and I used it in Jakarta, and I ended up having in like about a week about 1,000 matches. I'm not even kidding. Jakarta especially, I had like more than Bangkok. An insane number of matches. It was like ridiculous. It's surreal. It was just like what. It was too many, like, to be honest. But the thing is, like, typically now, like, this was a few years ago, but now it's, like, even more difficult. But I would say in Bangkok and Jakarta, it's still fairly easy for guys to get matches. But in the West, girls get matches almost like, you know, how I would say in Jakarta or something. Whereas, like, in the West, guys get, like, very few. Even when I used it, like, before me and my girlfriend got together, like, I barely get matches in England. So, even in America, it's very few.
So I think that this is going to be the most profound video I've ever put on YouTube, and I'm not exaggerating with that. It's also the most personal, because for the insights that I'm sharing, there's no way for me to communicate them to you without letting you know what's been going on in my life for these last couple of weeks. So if this is rambling, I apologize. I'm putting my thoughts together on this still, but it is incredibly important, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. So here's the first part. About 2 weeks ago, I broke up with my girlfriend of a year and a half. And if you've ever been in a relationship with someone for that long or longer, you know, and you've broken up, it is not a fun feeling. So the reason that it occurred was not because we didn't love each other, because we didn't like each other. The reason that it occurred is because our values for what we wanted in a relationship long term were just not in line. And there came to be this moment of realization and acceptance that she wasn't changing and I wasn't changing. And for the both of us, the best thing that we could do was separate. Not because we wanted to, but because it was the right thing to do. So it started off completely fine, like we were both logical, rational. I started packing her things. She lived in this house with this studio in my bedroom, and started packing her things, started putting them in the car. And by the time we get all the things, I put the stuff into the car, and the last thing is in there, she is bawling. And I see her like this, and I'm numb, right? I can't even believe this is happening. We've been talking about it because we think it's the right thing, but in that moment, I'm just like freaked out. I want to show her that I care, but I don't want to fabricate and manufacture these tears, so I feel guilty about the fact that I'm not crying, and I eventually send her off. I give her a hug and a kiss, and I tell her that I love her, but she drives off for another apartment. And I come back inside, and that numbness stays with me for a couple of hours until that night. And that's when the numbness shifted into loneliness and sadness, and I bawled my eyes out, right? I had to call my voice recorder up, I talked my feelings out into my phone, which I need to delete if that's on the iCloud. Don't need that getting out there. But I just bawled into this phone for probably 10 minutes, said everything that I felt, everything that I regretted. I typed it out. I felt miserable, but even at the end, I felt better, a little bit relieved. There was a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. I felt, even though that I knew that I did the right thing, I felt incredibly lonely because this is a bedroom that I'd shared with her. So what happens after that is A couple days go by, I still have this feeling. I'm with my friends, they're amazing, right? Taking me to escape rooms, all the things they know I like, trying to keep me busy. But in between these events, this feeling comes back, and I'm thinking of her, and I eventually go to her Facebook, which is the dumbest thing that you can ever do if you've had a breakup. Do not do this. I go to her Facebook, and before I can even scroll down, I don't know why I reflexively did this, I saw a picture of her that I hadn't seen before. There was of her in a dress with a group of people near a club, and I booked it off that page. But not before my adrenaline shot through the roof, my blood pressure started to beat, I felt my heart beat, I felt myself get angry and jealous, and my head just started to go into these crazy spirals of, I can't believe that so soon after she would go out. I was angry at her. I felt silly that I had wanted to be upset on her behalf. Here I am, a night and a half ago, or even the previous night, crying in the bedroom. Maybe she'd gone out that night, I didn't know when it was taken. I start wondering if there was a guy there from her past, or maybe she met someone in the club, she kissed him drunk, how that would be standards, and this guy couldn't compare, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm comparing myself to this person, and imagining how I'm going to become better in every way that matters to me.
I got something for y'all.
Work on my business, I'm going to try to get more talented with music, I'm going to try to be a better friend, a better person, I'm going to travel more, become more worldly. I'm comparing myself to this person who doesn't exist. An imaginary guy that she might have seen and kissed at a club. I am in a death fight with in my head. And 5 minutes later, I realized, what am I doing? But I can't snap this streak. For the rest of the day and the next couple days, I feel divided. Every time that I'm with my friends, I'm wondering, what is she doing now? And I don't know if you've ever felt this, but it tends to happen with a friend, a family member, someone close when there's a falling out. Sometimes you wish that they're not having a good time, right? Or even people that you don't know well, that maybe you're jealous of. You start wondering what they're doing, comparing your life to theirs, and it becomes impossible to live your own life in a happy way. And that's where I was. So I'm still trying to get my work done, the videos. I'm like, I know I gotta work, I gotta create these breakdowns, I need focus. So I start doing whatever I can to get there. All the exercises I did and then some. And one of the things on this list that I create that I have to do is something I've been interested in, which was a hypnotherapist. I'm gonna go to hypnotherapy, I'm gonna have him sit me in the chairs, knock me out, and make me feel amazing. So I've never done it, but that's kind of what I'm looking to. Sign up for this guy in town, drive in, get to the office, and I see he's got the plush black chair, and he's got the desk with the chair there, and I'm ready to go sit into this giant black chair and just be put to sleep and made to feel like $1 million at the end. That's not how it works. I'm not going to really do too much hypnosis today. Just sit down in this chair next to the desk and tell me what's going on. So I start to tell him. And I get to the story about Facebook, about how I saw her, my blood pressure rise, and it just felt terrible. There were these triggers for me. And he says, you know, something similar happened to me. There was a girl, hadn't been dating as long as you guys had, but there was a real connection there, and it didn't work out. For whatever reason, I went to date her. She didn't feel the same way. A few days later, or weeks later, I see on her Facebook that she is in Hawaii, and she posts this photo, and it's with her and this tanned, huge, handsome, stunning set of pearly white teeth guy on this beautiful island in Hawaii with the sun setting in the back, and she's wrapped around him with the biggest smile I'd ever seen on her face. And I'm sitting there, man, I know that's rough. I hope you're okay. And he goes, yeah. All I could think about in that moment was how grateful I was to that guy for making her smile so big. And that for me was a complete plot twist. I could not have seen that coming for a million miles. Because when I got sad, I went to myself. How does this affect me? And what he taught me that I want to start to teach you guys, that has been perhaps the most pivotal shift, is how to get to that point of sharing in the happiness of other people, even when you don't necessarily feel it. Because in that moment, what he made me realize is that even though I did love my girlfriend, I had a very limiting concept of what love was. First off, if you look back at my story, love meant to me that you need to be able to negatively impact the person, right? So when I saw her cry as we drove off, I went, there you go, proof that she loves me. And I felt guilty because I wasn't crying in that moment. And she might not know that I feel that way about her. So when I did finally cry at night, I was like, crap, I want her to see this. I want her to know that I care. Now that's all nice, and that's how we oftentimes perceive love, but guess what? If part of your definition of love is that you need to be able to make someone feel terrible, you will have to make them feel terrible at times to feel love. Another part of my definition was that I want to make her happy, right? If I love her, I will make her happy.
Look
Now that's
at
nice, and it made me
that.
do a ton of
Four
nice things
dance
for her,
20.
right? It made me be a
Oh,
better
that's
person because I
goodness,
wanted to spread that
right?